We recently had a chance to go fishing in Crystal River, Florida in the hopes of catching some new species. But for me, the goal in particular was a redfish. This trip was a prize that I had won during Avid's Trash Bag Challenge back in September. After getting hold of Eric and meeting with his wife and figuring out a place to stay and all that good stuff, we finally got a chance to get down here and go fishing. After finally launching to the third spot we checked out, we were finally able to start getting on some fish. The first of these fish being this nice sea trout, which between bad camera handling and fish handling skills, we finally were able to release it. We quickly learned that fishing mangroves and dealing with tides was very similar to fishing our creeks and rivers back home, where pretty much anything could hold a fish, but the best spots were seams and eddies. The wind was brutal though, and really had these fish either sitting closer to the bottom or tied up in the mangroves, which caused a problem in terms of snags and boat position, as well as making filming almost impossible from an audio perspective. Eric was our unofficial guide for this trip, and he was obviously very knowledgeable, both in fishing these areas and for these types of fish, which made the trip a lot more enjoyable because we weren't trying to have a guessing game to start with, and we were able to immediately start catching fish. Shayna understood the assignment, though, and was quick to land the first redfish of the day. We had never seen a redfish in person, so we were both really excited to get the chance to do so, as we had seen pictures of some really awesome-looking ones recently. At this point, I was jealous. I just really wanted to catch a redfish. It had been a bucket list species ever since I was a kid. Over the years, I have become more and more biased towards artificial lures, so naturally I started out with those. So when I got hooked into the next fish, I was really excited.
I don't know.
As the drag kept peeling, I couldn't help but wonder. The long runs, the hard pulls, and the heavy head shakes weren't helping either. I really had myself convinced this was a redfish. In fact, Eric thought it was a redfish as well.
Yeah, that's red. Just don't do anything to drag. Let that fish pull drag.
I was bound determined to catch at least one redfish on this trip. I spent a lot of my childhood weekends watching saltwater fishing shows with my dad. It was quite common for people to be catching redfish on these shows. They were hard-fighting fish, they grew to great big sizes, they fought really hard, and yeah, I was really hoping to get a hold of one, and I really thought this fish might be it.
Like, that's 10 pounds on that. Right. Oh, that's good one. Real good one.
Sadly, this fish was not it.
Oh, at the drum, that's a good time to keep it too.
While it ended up not being a redfish, it was a very healthy black drum, which Eric was quick to tell us was the better tasting of the two species.
All right. This is better eating than redfish. Oh, really? They're the same family. This is a black drum. Redfish is a red drum. This is definitely a keeper here. Fantastic.
And while we were discussing this, Shayna was quick to interrupt with yet another redfish.
Pull, get the jig out. Just there for a second, bud. Go on the bottom of the boat floor. Yep, got another little red. We don't need the net. Okay. Sorry.
With fuel added to the fire and a slight wager put on the line, I was determined that I needed to catch more fish than my wife.
That's our second redfish.
Yeah.
That one's got the bluer tail going on.
Fish number 2. Yeah, it's got a beautiful blue tail on there. Barely hooked. Look at that. Barely happy. Already happy, aren't you?
I'm very happy.
Great.
I didn't get skunked, so I'm happy.
All right, let go, Shanna.
Go back in.
While keeping the child entertained and keeping trash from falling in the water was proving to be more and more of an issue throughout the day, we managed to keep catching fish, with the desire of catching a redfish starting to eat away at the back of my mind.
Got one.
Oh, I thought they were trying already. We're not. You got third one on your line. Heck yeah.
Net.
This one's
Big one?
This one's pulling faster than the drum. I wonder if it's a red.
Could be. I know the drag set light, but
I'd rather be light.
the drum
A little bigger than the other one.
in the boat. There's that a red. Nope, there's a nice drum. You get 5 of these. Look at that.
Sweet.
Heck yeah, you did a good job.
We're gonna be eating good, Shane.
Let's hold over this side of the boat because I don't want to fall in.
Yes.
While Shayna landed her third redfish, I was starting to lose hope. Maybe this wasn't my day for redfish, or worse yet, maybe Shayna was the better angler between the two of us.
There you go. They're fun to catch though, aren't even them little guys?
Yeah, we don't get to keep any. I'm sad.
Yeah. Well, they're...
You don't even eat it. What do you mean? Why are you sad?
Because, like, I don't get to show my fish off at home.
hopefully we'll get on to some of them big ones, but
Well, now I've got the hold of redfish.
days like this, I'm just happy to catch fish.
Hi. It's croaking at me.
Yep. You got three of them now.
I started questioning everything.
Yep.
I was doing everything right.
redfish
I had the go-to bait. I was working it correctly as far as I could tell. And then it hit me. She was using live shrimp under a popping cork.
Drum and a trout.
When Shayna landed yet another redfish, I finally decided to bite the bullet and go old school. That was when we encountered this dock. This wasn't any typical dock, though, as it quickly became the bane of Shayna's existence. It was right smack dab in the middle of a seam, but it was loaded with barnacles, which for nearly 20 minutes straight was a non-stop hassle. I wasn't catching redfish, but at least at this point, Shayna wasn't either.
Captain's finally hooked up.
It was at this point that Eric decided to get in on the action and caught himself a redfish as well. Along with 2 trout that were nearly back-to-back casts.
Just like to make sure I get my net so I don't lose it. That's a keeper for you guys.
Sweet.
Turn now, baby.
Yep. Okay, go ahead and let go. Let back. Now can I pull up?
Then Shayna decided to take a break from the redfish and decided to assault me with a black drum.
Whoa. Not like that.
I'm gonna double check.
I think I just like smacked the fish really, really hard. Let me put Anthony.
Why try to take me out here?
I'm really sorry I didn't mean to smack you in the fish.
At this point, we were talking about leaving, and I still hadn't caught a redfish. So one final stop and a few casts later, my fate would change. I watched as my popping cork went straight under the water. I set the hook into a very hard-fighting fish for its size. It was finally a redfish on the end of my line. Even though my first redfish was just a little rat red, I was more excited and ecstatic than a kid on Christmas Day. It was absolutely insane how hard it was to find one of these, for me at least. Obviously, Shayna was making it look easy. Obviously, Eric has had experience catching them before. I had finally caught one, though. I had finally been triumphant over my opponent. A small, pristine, blue-tailed redfish. As we were heading back to the launch, I couldn't help but start wondering how it would feel to catch a giant redfish. If this trip taught me anything, it is that things do not always go to plan. However, it has sparked a hunger that has already had me planning my next trip to the marshes for my chances to catch a monster. Oh, and then we got stopped by the authorities.